ॐ सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। We are in the 6th Anuvaka of Taittiriya Upanishad, and we have been studying the Shankara Bhashya. So in the previous class we had seen that the vital energy that passes through Sushumna, that is the Madhya Nadi, and it reaches the top of head, that is the Sahasrara, or the top of head, and there it leaves the body. So it is actually the passage, and that's what he said here, that Madhyanadi Vikasa, it is actually the thing implied there. So the connection of the individual soul with the Supreme Soul will be obtained in that particular state. So in the original text it is said, Se Indra Yonihi. So that is actually the base of Indra. And after this, now Taya, that means through that Sushumna, Evam Vidwan, a person who really knows the way of channelizing that particular vital force through Sushumna, Manomaya Atmadarshi. So he sees himself in the form of that only mind, Manomaya. Murdhna Vinishkramya. So when he leaves this body through this Murdhna, then Asya Lokasya Adhisthata Bhuriti Vyahruti Rupaha. So he will be the presiding force of this earth, and he will be called as Bhuhu. Then Agnihi Mahato Brahmanaha Angabhutasa Tasmin Agno Pratitishthati. So he will be fully placed in the Agni, which is the replica of the Brahman. And then Agnyatmana imam lokam vyapnoti. So Bhurityagno pratitishthati means becoming so Bhu, he will be fully established as the Agni, and in the form of Agni he will pervade through the world. Tatha Bhuvaha. In the next Vyahruti we have Bhuvaha, and there Dvitiya Vyahrutyatmani Vayo. Then Bhurityagno pratitishthati Bhuva iti Vayo. So when he leaves the body through that, and throughout life if he worships that Bhuvaha, that utterance, then he will be established in the Vayu, and he will be pervading the entire universe like Vayu. Pratitishthati iti anuvartate. So from the previous sentence the word is to be borrowed here. Suvariti. So when he becomes one with the third utterance, Suvaha iti Vyahrutyatma Aditya, then becoming one with that particular utterance, he will be established in the Aditya. So Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, these three are the utterances here, and by the worship of these three utterances, that particular sadhaka or aspirant will become one with them, and thus according to the efficacy of that particular utterance, either he will be established in the Bhumi, then in the Agni, then Vayu, then ultimately in the Aditya. Maha iti. Then what about the fourth utterance? Bhur, Bhuva, Suvaha are the three utterances, and above these three there is one new, that is Mahaha. So Maha iti Angini. All these are the Anga, are only the supplementary things, they are supportive, but the principle or Angi is Maha, that is actually the word for Brahma. So this aspirant will become one with that. Chaturdha Vyahrutyatmani Brahmani Pratitishthati. So thus that particular sadhaka will be fully established in the Brahman. Teshu Atma Bhavena Sthitva Apnoti Brahma Bhutaha. Apnoti Swarajyam, says the Upanishad. What is the meaning? So being established in all these worlds and the world implied by the utterances, Atma Bhavena Sthitva. So he will be there within them in the form of their essence, their identity, their the very self of that. Apnoti, thus he will pervade through. Just like a particular self is pervading this body. He is in this body and he is Atma and this body is his Sharira. And there also that particular aspirant will have either Bhuhu or Vayu or Aditya. So these will be his Anga, and Angi, actually the principal one is Brahma. So Brahma Bhutaha Swarajyam Swarad Bhavam Swayameva Rajatipatir Bhavati. So there that aspirant, the sadhaka, will become Brahma Bhutaha. He will become Brahman. That means there will not be any limitations, there will not be any conditions, and thus he will spread the entire universe. And that's why Tukaram also says, Ami Akasha Swarupa Jasa Nila Nila Dhupa. In Marathi it is said, we the saints, we the yogi are like Akasha, are like the sky. We are everywhere, but still nothing accrues to us, nothing anoints us. So this is actually the unanointed state of yogin. He says here that he will spread throughout the universe like that, and he will Swayameva Rajadhipatir Bhavati, Swayameva Raja Bhavati. So he will be the Lord, he will be the supreme entity, and thus he will not be under the control of any other person. Angabhutanam Devanam Yatha Brahma. So we understand here the example of Brahma. Just as Brahma is the Lord of all the other gods, here also the person who attains identity with the Brahman will be the Lord of all Anga, all worlds. Devasya sarve asmai balima vahanti. Naturally, all the other deities, all the other forces will offer themselves, offer their services to this particular Brahman only. And thus, this particular sadhaka will become one with the Brahman, and all the other gods will serve him. Apnoti manasaspatim, and he will naturally attain the power of understanding others' minds also. Sarvesham hi manasam patihi sarvatmakatvat brahmanaha. So naturally, when one becomes one with the Brahman, and Brahman being the all-pervading entity, so this person will also be all-pervading, and therefore he will be the Lord of all minds which are presenting themselves in all the bodies. So in various bodies, different minds are there, but still the controlling power is the Brahman, and this sadhaka will be one with that. Sarvairhi manobhihi tan manute. So naturally, that sadhaka who has become one with the Brahman, he will contemplate through the minds of all these. That means the different minds will be the channels of that particular Brahman. Tada apnoti evam vidwan. So that he will attain. Kincha vakpatihi sarvasam vacham patir bhavati. So naturally he will become vakpati. That means Lord of tongue, speech. Chakshushpatihi. So he will also be the Lord of vision. Shrotrapatihi. He will be the Lord of Shrotranam patihi. That means the ability to hear. Vijnanapatihi. So he will also be the Lord of experiences. Sarvatmakatva sarvapraninam karanaihi tadvan bhavati ityartha. So naturally he is the all-pervading entity, and therefore throughout the universe, whatever bodies are there, whatever is contemplating, whatever is doing something, whatever is hearing something, whatever is seeing something, so all this will be controlled, guided by that particular reality. Kincha, not only that, tadopi adhikataram etad bhavati. Tatopi adhikataram. That means above that there is something more. Kim tat uchyate. What is that? The answer is said, Akasha Shariram. So he will become Akasha Shariram. Akasha Shariram Asya Akashavadva Sukshmam Shariram Asya iti Akasha Shariram. Kim tat Prakritam Brahma. So he will become Akasha Sharira Brahma. That means he will become one with that Brahman which has Akasha as its body. And here Akasha is the example taken for that particular context, because Akasha has no boundaries. Akasha has no limitations. Akasha is beyond all characteristics, and that particular Akasha is the proper example for this Brahman. So this sadhaka will become one with the Brahman. Satyatma. So there we said Akasha Shariram Brahma Satyatma Prana Ramam Mana Anandam are the original words of the Upanishad. And now Shankaracharya explains Satyatma means what? Satyam Murta Murta Avitatham. Satyam means Murtam Amurtancha. Murta Murte. Murta is the tangible world or the manifested. Amurta means intangible or unmanifested world. Both are there. We see something, we experience something through senses, this is Murta. That means which has limitations in space and time, that is Murta. And there is something Amurta also, that means which has no form, which has no limitation at all. Thus Murta and Amurta both are there. Avitatham, and it is Avitatha. Vitatha means false, Avitatha means true. So that particular manifested and unmanifested form of Brahman will be Avitatha, that means true only. Swarupamcha Atma Swabhavaha Asya Tadidam Satyatma. So Shankaracharya explains here that the Brahman is Satyatma because he is Atma. That means the very form of this Brahman is Satyam. That means true, never contradicted, never getting destroyed, imperishable. That particular all-pervading reality is Brahman. And its two forms means Murta and Amurta forms, manifested and unmanifested form. Both are imperishable only. And thus it is Satyatma. And another meaning is also there. That means Satyam itself is its Atma. Because Upanishad say Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That means the Brahman nature is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So the existence of the universe, existence in whatever form it is, that is the very nature of the Brahman. That means we have to open our eyes to the fact around that the earth is a very minute, like a dust particle in the space, and on this dust particle earth we are all living, and there are several things happening here. There are oceans, mountains, everything on the earth, but this earth itself is only like a small particle in the space, and on this particle everything is happening. All our ego, all our idiosyncrasies, everything is happening on this dust particle, but actually it is all a mental creation. That's what Yoga Vasishta says, that's what Bhagavad Gita says, and the Upanishads, all the Upanishads try to open our vision to this fact that the mundane things are not that important, but we are here and we have to realize the vastness of the universe. And this vastness, that means spreading without any end, unending universe, and that is the Brahman, and that Brahman is the lone reality, and it is called Satya. So Satya is the very form of this Brahman. That's what he wants to say, because all the other bodies will come and will go. That means whatever takes a form, takes a shape, that will occupy particular space, and that will be present for a particular period of time. But a moment of time will come when that it will lose its form, it will lose its existence, and it will disappear. But still something will be there. This is a very, very subtle, profound, yet abstruse topic that many people will not give a thought to. Because here, if we observe in the world the galaxies, the stars, the nebulas and the planets, everything, so these are always undergoing change. And this change, it may take billions of years, but still change is taking place. And that kind of change will a particular moment stop. And that particular moment will be the last moment of the appearance of the object, but still there will be existence. But because if not in that form, that will be in another form. But after all, there is existence, and that basic thing is indicated by the word Satya, and it is the very nature of the Brahman. And that's why the entire unending universe is, if we observe with reference to the planets, stars, etc., it is the Murta Brahma. That means that Brahman, that reality which appears in the form of all these bodies. But if we consider the reality beyond that, beyond the manifested, so it is the unmanifested, and that unmanifested is also running the universe. That's why whatever is manifest, whatever is known through senses, whatever is understandable alone is not the reality, because in that case the microorganism and all these appearing here, the rays, especially the X-rays and other rays also, these are not visible, but still they are there. Similarly, some unmanifested energy is passing through, and it is one form of that, and the manifested is another form of that. That's why Bhagavad Gita also says Ksharam Aksharam Evacha. So Kshara is the perishable manifested form of the Lord, and at the same time that particular energy has another form also. It is Akshara, that means which is imperishable. Both are there. So take for example water. Water is the Murta, that is the manifested perishable form of energy. But when it is heated and when it is exposed to more heat, then it gets evaporated, and that evaporation also is the manifested form. But when the molecules are separated, when there are only two atoms, only oxygen and hydrogen, then those will not have any destruction at all, and those will be the imperishable form of the Brahman. So thus entire universe is pervaded by this Brahman, by this particular energy, and this energy is combining all of them, is disuniting all of them, and it is all Lokavattu Leela Kaivalyam. That's what Brahma Sutra says. And here Pranaramam, the next word is Pranaramam. This is the adjective of Brahman. What is Pranarama? So we had seen in the previous class that Pranarama means that which rejoices in the prana, that which enjoys through prana. So here Shankaracharya explains Praneshu Aramaha Akrida Yasya Tat Pranaramam. That means Brahman is that kind of energy which enjoys through prana. That's why Vivekananda also says somewhere in the Raja Yoga that the entire universe consists of two basic elements. One is prana, other is akasha. And akasha is the space, and prana is the vital energy that is passing through. And this prana is the essence of the entire world. This prana, being present in the sun, expresses itself in the form of heat and light. The same prana, when it occupies the petrol, diesel, etc., it enters the vehicle and it moves the vehicle. So whatever moves the vehicle, it is the prana of that vehicle. And here in the body, it enters in the form of vayu, in the form of air, breathe, and that again moves this particular body. So this way, prana is the vital energy, it is the vital force, and through this prana only Brahman enjoys the world. Prananam va aramaha yasmin tat pranaramam. Otherwise we can understand the word as Prananam Aramaha Pranaramam. That means Brahma is the final place where all the vital breaths reside, dwell. That means Brahman is the final resort to all the prana, because basically prana is the vital energy, and depending on what kind of function it does in the body, it is given a different name. So if the same air or breath that moves upward, it is called prana. If it goes downward, it is called apana. If it moves throughout the body, it is called vyana. If it occupies the stomach area, it is samana, because it digests. And this way it is given different names, but still it is the vital energy, it is of the form of vayu, but still it is different from vayu. So that kind of pure energy is called prana, and Brahman is the final resort of such kind of prana. Mana anandam. Ananda bhutam sukhakrudeva yasya manaha tan mana anandam. That means the peculiarity or the difference of Brahman from all the other beings is that all the other beings, they derive happiness through the senses, mind, intellect, etc. And Brahman, mana anandam. That means ananda bhutam sukhakrudeva manaha. The manaha, mind or thought of Brahman is always sukhakrudeva, ananda rupam. So that is the very nature of the Brahman. That's why there cannot be any other feeling at all. So that is Mana Anandam, and that's exactly what we find in the Brahma Sutra also, especially in the chapter called Anandamayadhikarana. Anandamayo bhyasat vikara shabda neti chenna prachuryat tadhetu vyapadeshacha mantra varnikameva cha giyate netaro nupapattehe bheda vyapadeshacha kamacha nanumana peksha asminnasya cha tadyogam shasti. So these are the 8 sutras dealing with the section called Anandamaya, and there also it is discussed whether Brahman is Anandamaya. If it is Anandamaya, then what is the meaning of the suffix Maya? Does it indicate any modification or the essence, the nature, or abundance? So it is decided there that it is abundance. But it doesn't mean that sometimes there can be other dukkha, etc. But it is always Ananda absolutely present in the Brahman. Shanti Samruddham. Shanti Samruddham is the adjective of Brahman. Brahman is Shanti Samruddha. What is Shanti? Upashamaha. Shanti means the perfect, absolute, the quietude, the peace. It is actually the Brahman, because it is not the Brahman which is agitated, but it is the matter that is agitated, and that's why the energy that is through is never agitated. It is functioning, calm, quiet, and that is Shanti Samruddha. Shantischa tat samruddhancha Shanti Samruddham. Or we can say it is both Shanti and Samruddha. That means the Brahman is both Shanti, that is peace, and Samruddham means abundant, or it is rich. Samruddha, so prosperous, both are there. Shantyava Samruddham, or you can say that Brahman is Shanti Samruddham in the sense it is rich with peace. That means it is abundant with peace. And tad upalabhyate iti Shanti Samruddham. Amritam. Amritam means immortal. Amarana dharmi. Etaccha adhikarana visheshanam tatraiva manomaya ityado drashtavyam iti. And this particular the adjective, that means the adjectives here, Shanti Samruddham, Pranaramam, Satyatma, Akasha Shariram, etc. So all these adjectives, so they should be understood in the Manomayam. So Mana Anandam Brahma. So there we have to apply all this and understand. So Manomayatvadi Dharma Visishtam Yathoktam Brahma. So that kind of Brahman which is preached here with all the adjectives like Manomaya, Mana Ananda, Akasha Sharira and other, that the Prachina Yogya should worship. Prachina Yogya is the word for addressing the student. He says, He Prachina Yogya Upaswa iti Acharya Vachana Uktihi Adarartha. So, why does he address the student? Actually here, the Upanishad mentions even the name of the student for the reason that it is Adarartha, that only to indicate the respect for the student also, that word is taken here by the teacher. And another important matter is that Prachina Yogya refers to that particular eligible soul who has been traveling throughout several births to realize the Brahman, to realize the self, and to experience that spiritual perfection in this birth. So throughout births he has been toiling, he has been practicing hard, and now Prachina Yogya has come to the feet of the teacher, and the teacher addresses him, now you have come to seek this divine knowledge from me, and you are the Prachina Yogya, you are the eligible students for throughout several births, and now you worship this. This kind of Brahma is to be worshipped always. So this is actually to show respect to the student there. Uktastu upasana shabdarthaha. Now, when the verb upasva is used in the sense of upasana, so you do the upasana. What is upasana? So Shankaracharya says, we have already explained the meaning of the words upasana, but still we remember what is upasana. Upa means samipa. Upa means near. Asa means sitting. asana. Upa asana means sitting close to something, getting close to something, and taila dharavad avichinna sajatiya pratyaya pravaha. In Bhagavad Gita Bhashya also, Shankaracharya says upasana or bhakti is in the form of uninterrupted homogeneous flow of thoughts. That means the same thought when flows being uninterrupted, that flow of thought is called upasana. And in upasana there is the secret that the person who practices this kind of upasana will become one with the upasya or the thing worshipped. So thus upasana is actually highly spiritual and mundanely psychological also. Now this is the end of the 6th Anuvaka, and now we go to the Pankta Upasana in the 7th Anuvaka. Shankaracharya explains, Yadetad vyahrityatmakam brahma upasyam uktam tasyaiva idanim pruthivyadi pankta swarupena upasanam uchyate. Yat etat vyahrityatmakam brahma. So whatever Brahman in the form of vyahriti or utterances has been explained in the previous Anuvaka, upasyam uktam, as the thing to be worshipped, tasyaiva idanim pruthivyadi pankta swarupena upasanam uchyate. Of the same Brahman in the 7th Anuvaka now, that particular worship of the form of pankta, in the like prithvi etc. is being ordained. Pancha sankhya yogat panktihi chanda sampattihi. What is pankti and pankta? In Sanskrit, especially in the context of meters, pankti is a Vedic meter and it is pancha sankhya yogat, and it is only connected with the number pancha or 5. Because of that particular number 5, the chanda itself is called pankti, and tataha panktatvam sarvasya, and whatever is related to the 5, that means group of 5, will be called as pankta. So pankta is the Sanskrit word derived from the word pankti, which means 5. And here he is going to elaborate the groups of 5. So each will consist of 5 again. So because in each group there are 5 important elements, the group is called pankta, because on the basis of the meaning 5. Panktascha yajnaha, and for that reason only even the sacrifice is called pankta. Panchapada panktihi pankto yajnaha iti shrutehe. The Vedic scriptures also say panchapadi panktihi. That means panchapada means that which consists of 5 you can say quarters, or you can say the lines, and it is pankti, and pankto yajnaha, the sacrifice is therefore pankta. Tena yat sarvam lokadi atmantam cha panktam parikalpayati yajnameva tat parikalpayati. So from Prithvi to Atma, whatever has been elaborated here in this Anuvaka as pankta, it is actually yajna. So this particular exposition of the universe in this way is elaboration of yajna. Thus we have to understand. Tena yajnena parikalpitena panktatmakam prajapati abhisampadhyate. So through this particular sacrifice in the form of pankta, a person can attain oneness with the prajapati, who is actually the yajna purusha. Tat katham panktamidam sarvam ityata aha. Now how everything is pankta, so that the Anuvaka explains now. So this is the 7th Anuvaka. Here we find each will consist of some 5 things. We see them. Prithivyantariksham dyaur disho vantara dishaha agnirvayuradityas chandrama nakshatrani apa oshadhayo vanaspataya akasha atma ityadhi bhutam adhadhyatmam prano vyanopana udana samanah chakshushrotram manovaktvak charma maunsaus asnavasti majja etadadi vidhaya rushiravochat panktam va idagum sarvam panktenaiva panktagum sprunoti iti. So here we find Adhibhutam, Adhyatma, two things. And the great sages of yore analyzed the universe in this way. The first pankta, what is this Adhibhutam, the material or the physical world? What do we find here? There we find, see, the 5 important things. The first pankta of the physical world. 1, Prithvi, we start with the earth. Antariksham, and above that the sky. Dyauhu, the heaven. Dishaha, avantara dishaha, so the quarters and subquarters. Then we have the illuminous things. Agnir, Vayur, Adityas, Chandrama, Nakshatrani. Here also we find 5. What are they? Agnihi, the fire, the thermal fire. That means the thermal energy on this earth. That is Agnihi. Vayuhu, so this is the kinetic energy in the form of Vayu. Then Adityaha, this is the nuclear energy, that is in the form of sun. And Chandramaha, that is only a reflection of the sun, that is Chandramaha. And there we have some more stars also, these are Nakshatra. So all these 5 form one group, and it is second pankta of the physical world. Then we have other pankta, and it is very important here that the Vedic sages try to explore the important things of the universe in this way. 1, Apaha, we find here, this is the Apaha, that is water, and it is actually chemical. And this water is the first form. Oshadhayaha, from water we get several kinds of herbal plants, and therefore Oshadhi is from Apaha. This is the second one. Vanaspatayaha, and there are other plants also, they are Vanaspati. Akashaha, and there is space, gap between all these things. And finally Atma, so this is the vital energy called Atma. So from Prithvi to Atma, the 3 categories are there, and each category consists of 5, and therefore it is Adhi Bhuta Pankta. That means group of 5 in the material world. Now Adhadhyatmam, now we consider the body. So here also we have groups of 5. What are they? In the body we find Prano, Vyano, Pana, Udana, Samanaha. So in the body, in order to make it function, the air assumes various forms, and they are Pranaha, Vyanaha, Apanaha, Samanaha, Udanaha. So these are all the functions of the air, and these 5 constitute one group of the body. Now, what are the other? Chakshu, Shrotram, Manova, Tvak. Now we have 5. Chakshuhu, Shrotram, Manaha, Vak, Tvak. Here we find that eyes, ears, mind, speech and skin. So these form one group. We have other. This is from the grosser to the subtle. That means the body is formed of all these dhatu. What are they? The most external is charma. So this is the first one. Charma, that means the sensor outside. So this responds to the external environment and it gives signals to the brain. So this is the sensor and it is called charma. Then below the charma we have mamsam, the fat, the flesh. And below that snava, the sinews are there, the nerves are there, the connecting threads are there. And below that asthi, bone is there. And within the bone we have majja, this is the bone marrow. And this bone marrow actually carries all the important elements of the body, and it is actually the thing which produces the white blood cells, red blood cells and even the platelets. So they are all produced from the bone marrow, and it is majja. And all these, that means charma, mamsa, snava, asthi, majja, these 5 form one particular group. Etadadhi vidhaya rushiravochat. So thus, analyzing and observing the entire universe in this way, the great sage of the past, he said, Pangtamba idagum sarvam pangteneva pangtagum sprunoti iti. So that sage tried to simplify the entire universe variety. That means the universe is seen in various forms, but that particular Rishi tried to make some classification, and he said Pangtam va idagam sarvam. So the entire universe is only in these 5 groups, and Pangteneva Pangtagnum sprunoti iti, and this each 5 will combine with another and make it complete. That means each 5 will mix with the other 5, and thus it is actually combination of 2 Pangta. So this is actually the Pangtopasana. That means we have to look at the universe in the way it is explained here, so that we can understand that the entire world is in 2 forms. One is the external material world, and the other is the body and the body formation, and all that the great sages had thought earlier. Now Shankaracharya explains Prithivyantariksham Dyaur Disho Avantara Disha iti Lokapangtam. So in the Pangta also we can find some classification, name of the classification. When he is talking about Prithvi, Antariksham, Dyauhu, Avantara Disha, etc., it is Lokapangta. That means the group of 5 worlds, it is the first one. Agnir Vayur Adityas Chandrama Nakshatrani iti. So from the other Agni, Vayu, Aditya, Nakshatra, etc. So these form the next one, Devata Pangtam. So these are the Devata. Devata means illuminary bodies which illuminate others. Apa Oshadhayo Vanaspata Akasha Atma iti. Then other, starting with Apaha, Atma, it is Bhuta Pangtam. That means the group of 5 elements. Atmeti Virat Bhutadhikarat. So here the word Atma should not be taken in the sense of individual soul, but it is Virat. Virat Viseshena Rajate. So that Virat is actually the Lord of all elements. Ityadhibhutam. This is actually Adhibhutam or material world. Adhiloka Adhidaivata Pangta Dvaya Upalakshanartham. And Shankaracharya explains that you should not think that only Adhibhutam is mentioned and Adhiloka, Adhidaivata, Adhipangta, these are not mentioned here. You should not think like that. It's actually each one is Upalakshanam. It's only indicative of the other. Loka Devata Pangtayoscha Abhitatvat. Because Adhilokam, Adhidaivatam, both are mentioned here. So the other are to be understood from these only. Adha means Anantaram, Adhyatmam, Pangtatrayam Uchyate. So in the Adhyatma, the spiritual also, the bodily also, there are 3 Pangta. What are they? Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, Samana. This is Prana Pangta. Chakshu, Shrotra, Mano, Vak, Chakshu, Tvak. So this is the Indriya Pangta. And Charma, etc. Till Majja, it is the Dhatu Pangta. They are called Dhatu because Dhatu means that which holds. And these 5 hold the body. Therefore, they are called Dhatu. Etavadhidam sarvam adhyatmam bhashyancha pangtam eva ityetat evam adhividhaya. So now that particular sage had realized that these actually 5 are moving everything. They are running everything. So they are running the entire drama. Therefore, it is sarvam pangtam, he said. Parikalpya Rishihi Veda etad darshana sampanno va kaschit Rishihi avochat uktavan kim. So having perceived the entire world in this way, that particular sage had said this. What? Pangtam va idagam sarvam pangte neva adhyatmikena sankhya samanyat pangtam bahyam sprunoti balayati purayati. That means the entire universe is of this form, and each will supplement the other, each will fulfill other. Thus the entire thing will be just moving in this form. And this is a very high level cosmic reality, that the entire world is observed in this particular way. It is not confined to a particular body, but it is very vast and cosmic realization. Evam ekatmataya upalabhyata ityetat. And when we try to understand the entire universe in one unit, then we will realize this particular reality. Evam pangtam idam sarvam itiyo veda sa prajapatyatmaiva bhavati ityarthaha. So whoever realizes the entire universe of the form of this Pankta will become one with the Prajapati, and he will be the Lord of all Bhuta. So this is the seventh Anuvaka. And now we come to the very important Ashtama Anuvaka. This eighth Anuvaka is very important for the reason that it deals with the worship of Omkara, the practice of Omkara. And here Shankaracharya explains, Vyahrityatmano Brahmana Upasana Muktam. So in the previous Anuvakas, the Upasana of Brahma of the form of Vyahriti or utterances has been explained. Then Pankta Swarupena Tasseva Upasana Muktam, and worship of the same Brahman in the form of Pankta is also explained. Idanim Sarvopasana Angabhutasya Omkarasya Upasanam Viditsyate. Now, Om, the Pranava, being the essence of all the Upasana, because all the Upasana, all the worship should culminate into this Pranava Upasana, otherwise they will be proved futile, and therefore the Pranava Upasana is being explained now. Parapara Brahma Drushtya Upasyamana Omkaraha, the Omkara being worshipped as Parabrahma and Aparabrahma. So the Brahman, that reality is of two forms, Parabrahma and Aparabrahma. The entire universe, which is seen as stars, planets, galaxies, mountains, oceans, etc. So all this is Aparabrahma. And beyond that, that which has no form, that which has no conditions or limitations, that which is just like one gel, so it is called the Parabrahma. So it's actually, it is the essence, it is the liquid in which everything is placed, and that is the Parabrahma beyond that. And Omkara being worshipped in that particular form, Shabdamatropi Parapara Brahma Prapti Sadhanam Bhavati. So one may say that how can the Pranava be the medium to Brahma? How can it be taken as the replica of Brahman? Now Shankaracharya explains that of course Pranava is of the form of sound, but it can be the means to the attainment of that particular Brahman, because it is Tasya Vachak of Pranavaha, it is the only symbol used for Brahman. Therefore, through Pranava one can attain Brahman. Sahi Alambanam Brahmanaha Parasya Aparasya Cha Pratima Iva Vishnoho. Naturally, that Pranava or Omkara will be the only means to attain both Parabrahma and Aparabrahma, because it is actually the Alambanam. This is the base, this is the Adhara, this is the support. Pratima Iva Vishnoho. And here Shankaracharya gives the example of the idol of Vishnu. Of course, Vishnu, the very word signifies that Vishnu means the all-pervading, limitless reality. But Pratima, but we, for our sake, we form a particular idol, we install an idol and say that this is Vishnu. So the all-pervading reality also can be seen, can be worshipped in a small idol. Similarly, the all-pervading Parapara Brahma can be worshipped with the help of Pranava. That is the idea. Etenaiva ayatanena ekataram anveti. The Prashnopanishad also says, Etenaiva ayatanena ekataram anveti. So whoever practices Omkara, whoever gets one with the Omkara, can attain the higher reality through that. So that is the secret of the world here. Iti Shrute, that's the Prashnopanishad also explains. Now we come to the text. Omiti Brahma, Omiti Dagum Sarvam, Omityetat Anukrutirha Smava Apyo Shravayetya Shravayanti, Omiti Samani Gayanti, Ogum Shom iti Shastrani Shagum Santi, Omityadhvaryuh Pratigaram Pratigranati, Omiti Brahma Prasauti, Omityagnihotra Manujanati, Omiti Brahmana Pravakshannaha, Brahmopa Apnavaniti, Brahmaiva Upa Apnoti. This is the importance of Omkara. he says, Om iti Brahma. This Omkara or Pranava is the Brahman. How? Brahman means the limitless, all-pervading, eternal reality. Now what is Om? It is only sound. But when this particular sound is uttered, when all the other thoughts are stopped, when one becomes one with this particular nada, this unbroken continuity of the sound itself becomes the unbroken continuity of the Brahman. So therefore, Omkara is the Brahman. It is the base of all languages. That's why the other Upanishads also extol the greatness of this Omkara, saying that throughout the world, whatever sound is there, whatever languages are there, all the languages are placed in one word, Om. And for this reason only, when Panini has systematized the Sanskrit grammar, when he wrote the Ashtadhyayi, he also thought of this, and the sutras he made, Maheshwara Sutra, he began with Om. How? Ayun, he said. A, I, U. The three letters, A, I, U. And here we find A, U, Ma. That means, though E is not taken here, it actually begins with the guttural A, and it is the base of all the languages. In most of the world languages, we find the first letter, first alphabet should be A. And then it goes again further. A, U, Ma. That's why Narayana Upanishad says, Akara, Ukara, Makara iti tane ekadha samabharat tadetadomuti yamuktva mucchite yogi janma samsara bandhanat. It also says that the three matra, the three syllables come together to form Om. And it is the Brahman. Om iti dagum sarvam. Not only that, sarvam, that means whatever you can see, whatever appears, whatever vastness is there in the universe, that is this Omkara. Because once it is combined with Brahma, then Brahma being all-pervading, so the Omkara also becomes all-pervading. Om ityetad anukritir hasmava apyo shravaya ityashravayanti. And the thing is that in the performance of the sacrifice also, that means when sacrifices are being performed, at that time the Ritvik passes an order, and the other Ritvik takes that order, and that particular time he says Om. So Omiti etat anukritireha. So it is a kind of repeating something, repetition. How? Apyo shravaya ityashravayanti. Now you do this. That's the Vedic priest says, and the other priest Om, he says that, and he does that particular activity. Omiti samani gayanti. Not only that, when the sama mantras are being chanted, they begin with Omkara. So with Omkara only the sama mantra are chanted. Om shom iti shastrani shagum santi. Shastra are a kind of sama mantra only. These are actually mantras, shastra. And shastrani shagum santi. When those particular shastra are to be chanted, then there also that particular Omkara is uttered. Om iti adhvaryuhu pratigaram pratigranati. Pratigaram, nama pratishabdam, pratigranati. So even Adhvaryu means Yajurveda priest, he also every time says Om, and before each word he has to utter this Omkara. Thus he also takes. Thus Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharvaveda, so these all begin with Omkara. Omiti Brahma prasauti. And even Brahma, the main priest, he also takes that Omkara. OmityagniHotram anujanati. And not only that, in the performance of sacrifice, when the fire has to be installed, when the fire has to be kindled, so every time the permission is given to the person with the word Om. Omiti Brahmana pravakshannaha. So the Brahmana also says this with the word Omkara. Brahma upapnavani iti. So with this Omkara, I will definitely achieve oneness with the Brahman. Thus the Brahmana says Brahmaiva apnoti. Not only that, with the practice of Omkara, he will become one with the Brahman. There is no doubt. Omiti, इति शब्दः स्वरूप परिच्छेदार्थः ओमिति एतत् शब्द स्वरूपम ब्रह्मा इति मनसा धारयेत उपासीत. So Shankaracharya explains that here Om, after the word there is word iti. Why that iti? That means it is to indicate that the word Om should be taken as it is. The word Om should be taken here. Om iti etat Brahma. So this is the Brahman here. That means one has to contemplate on Omkara as Brahman. One should have firm conviction that the Omkara is Brahman and he is practicing that. Yata Om itidam sarvam hi shabda swarupam Omkarena vyaptam. So the entire world is pervaded by this Omkara, that is the Brahman. Tad yadha shankuna iti shrutyantarat. Chandogya Upanishad also gives a fine example that it says when some lotus leaves are taken and one sharp needle is pierced through the 50 or 100 petals also, that sharp needle will pass through all of them and all will be connected with one single thread. Similarly here, Omkara is actually the Shanku. Omkara is the needle that pierces through all the languages and all the languages are connected mutually through this Omkara. Abhidhana Tantram Abhidhayam iti ataidam sarvam Omkara ityuchyate. Abhidhana Tantram Abhidheyam iti. Actually Abhidheyam, that means whatever is to be expounded, whatever is to be explained, that depends on what? That is Abhidhana Tantram. That means it depends on its exposition. So the thing depends on its exposition. Therefore, here Omkara is now being explained. Omkara stutyartham uttaro granthaha. So naturally, all the other sentences of this particular 8th Anuvaka are to praise the greatness of this Omkara. Upasyatvat tasya. What is the reason? Because tasya upasyatvat. That Omkara is being stated here as the thing to be worshipped. Omityetat anukritihi. And we have seen that this Omkara is uttered by the priests in the performance of sacrifice when something is to be repeated. Karomi yasyami cha iti kritam uktam omityanukaroti anyaha. So when somebody says, now I do this, now I leave this place, then that is taken by other person. Om, he says. Ataha Omkaraha anukritihi. Therefore, it is only a kind of anukarana. Ha sma va iti prasiddhartha avadyotakaha. So here the three nipata or the three particles ha, sma, va, when these three are used together, they mean prasiddhartha dyotakaha. That means they give the sense of something very popular. It is very popular one, very firm thing that they indicate. Prasiddham Omkarasya anukrititvam. Why it is so famous? That in the performance of sacrifice, it has been well observed by everybody that the Omkara is being uttered by the person to imitate something or to observe something that the particular activity is going on. Now, apicha o shravaya iti praishapurvakam ashravayanti tatha om iti. Now, when praisha or prerana is being there, that means vidhi, there om shravaya, when he says, then the other priests say shravaya. That means when something is to be performed there, they seek permission and the priests give the permission with the word Om. Similarly, the Omiti Samani Gayanti Samagaha. The experts of Samveda, they also chant this Omkara. And not only that, Ogum Shom iti Shastrani Shamsanti Shastra Shamsitaropi. So even the Shastra mantra are being uttered with this Omkara only. Omiti Brahma Prasauti. And even when something is asked, when something is sought from the Brahma also gives permission with the word Om. Praishapurvakam ashravayati. Omiti Agnihotram anujanati. Juhomi ityuktam Omityeva anujnam prayachati. So it is quite natural that when somebody says, shall I bring the fire? then the permission is given saying Om. So thus, in all the sacred rituals, we find the use of this word Om in this way. Omityeva Brahmana Pravakshan. So when the Brahmana has to deliver a lecture, has to make an exposition of Brahman, he says Pravachanam Karishyan Adhyeshyamanaha Om Ityaha. So naturally, before the commencement of his study of the Brahman, he will also utter the word Om. Omityeva Pratipadyate Adhyetum Ityartha. So with the utterance of Omkara only, he will proceed on his study of the scriptures. Brahma Vedam Upapnavani iti Prapnuyam Grahishyamiti Upapnotyeva Brahma. So when he says Brahma Upapnavani, so I shall attain that Brahman, I shall get the knowledge of Veda. Either way, when he desires, he will definitely get that desire fulfilled. Athava Brahma Paramatma Tam Upapnavani iti Atmanam Pravakshan Prapayishyan Omityevaha. So when that particular Brahman sits in meditation, and when he utters that Omkara and says, now I shall attain that Brahman, now I shall get to the Brahman, then definitely he will get on to the Brahman. So that is the greatness of this Omkara. Sacha Tena Omkarena Brahma Prapnotyeva. So with the help of that Omkara only, that person will definitely get closer to the Brahman and ultimately become one with the Brahman. That's why in another Upanishad also they say that Yadha Ulka Hastaha. Just like a person holding a torch goes to from darkness to light, in darkness he will require that particular torch, and once he steps into light, he will throw over the torch and he will walk away. So here also we find that this Omkara is like a ulka or torch. It will definitely take us into the light, but once a person gets into the light of Brahman, he will no more require this Omkara, and that's why Omkara will stop there and he will go ahead. That is verily mentioned in most of the yoga texts, Vedanta texts also. In the Yogopanishad also we find this kind of analysis and explanation of the Omkara. Sacha tena Omkarena Brahma Prapnotyeva. And practically speaking, when we sit in meditation and practice this Omkara, slowly we observe that all the whims and the fluctuations of the body are slowly stopped, and once everything comes into control, then slowly that person will arise from his limitations as individual soul or human body. He will go above, and that particular Omkara will give him the release from all the limitations. Therefore, it is quite appropriate that the person will get with oneness with the Brahman. Now, Omkara Purvam Pravrittanam Kriyanam Phalavatvam Yasmat Tasmat Omkaram Brahma iti Upasita iti Vakyarthaha. Now, what is the meaning of the sentence as a whole? He says, Omkara Purvam Pravrittanam Kriyanam Phalavatvam Yasmat. Because all the things done with the utterance of Omkara become fruitful. Therefore, Omkaram Brahma iti Upasita. Therefore, one should worship this Omkara as Brahman. The difference is that because all our activities become fruitful, they yield fruits only when they are commenced with the word Om. Therefore, that Omkara is the Brahman, and one has to worship that Omkara in this way in order to get all the material prosperity and spiritual prosperity. And thus, the sentence meaning is being explained in the Bhashya, and this is the end of the 8th Anuvaka. So, in the previous, from 5th to 8th Anuvaka, we have seen various kinds of worship. That means it is all, why these upasana are being explained here. It is only to raise ourselves from the limitations of the matter. It is only to raise our spiritually, that we get this vision, the spiritual vision, so that we can get rid of all the limitations and the matter will no more have its effect on our body, mind, and therefore we can enjoy the existence on this planet, and we can really get peace within. And that is the secret of the elaboration of all these upasana here. And now the upasana being explained in the 9th Anuvaka, he will proceed further with the analysis of the Satyam, Tapaha, Dhyanam, Dhanam, etc. So we will see that in our next class. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari